semi-final action from the Progressive Legends Classic as part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. The Pittsburgh Panthers facing the Texas Tech Red Raiders from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Time to take a look at tonight's starting lineup, brought to you by Progressive. For Pittsburgh, Cameron Wright, James Robinson, one of the more underrated guards in the country, Lamar Patterson, Michael Young, and then Talib Zanna rounding out that starting five for the 4-0 Panthers. And for Texas Tech, Jamal Williams Jr., the Brooklyn native, getting his first start of the year. He's joined by Robert Turner, Jake Crockett, Jordan Tolbert, and Dayon Kravitz. Tubby Smith in his first season at the helm of the Red Raiders, a program that has been in quite some turmoil over the last couple of years, bringing some stability to it. His 23rd year as a collegiate head coach, and brings 515 career wins with him. Meanwhile, Jamie Dixon, in his 11th season at Pittsburgh, has led one of the more successful programs in the nation over these last few years. Ryan Rucco, Doris Burke, happy to be with you this evening in Brooklyn. You know, Doris, Pittsburgh's 4-0 thus far this year, but certainly tonight a different test than what they've had thus far.
Well, no question. I think if you're not a team like Michigan State that schedules strong out of the box, we may be moving closer to the holidays, but everybody else in college basketball, the competition starts to ramp up a little bit. So, yeah, better tests coming quickly.
About ready to jump things up here. Both coaches saying they like the early season tournament format. Get you a little bit ready for what you end up experiencing later in the year. You take a look at the officials, Jamie Luckey, Bo Borowski, and Brian Kersey, as Texas Tech wins the tip. And here is Turner controlling the offense for the Red Raiders. A lot of experience in the front court of Texas Tech.
This guy with the ball, though, to me is the key, and he's the new addition. Roberts is a terrific point guard, not your prototypical high assist guy, but I think he's the engine that drives this group.
A transfer from New Mexico Junior College gets swatted through traffic and controlled by Pittsburgh. Up ahead, it's Zanna for the lay-in and the first bucket of the game. Turner goes burning back the other way as Texas Tech gets quickly into their set.
Now look at the new look Pittsburgh Panthers. You don't typically think of them as a transition team under Jamie Dixon. They want to do it more.
Crockett, the tall turn away, no. And the rebound from Zanna. Here's Robinson, the sophomore point guard. Right, feeding the post to Zanna. Back to the basket. Finds the open Robinson. Into the corner. Young swooping through. Catch and shoot three from the wing is no good for Wright. The offensive board cleaned up by Young, but Kravitz comes away with the rebound. Turner normally wears number 14, but wearing number 3 for this game. Jersey didn't make it.
It was somewhat of an adventure getting here. They sat for several hours on Friday night on the tarmac due to bad weather. They left their bags on the plane, and when they arrived in New York City, his bag was nowhere to be seen.
We know they don't have de-icing machines in Lubbock, Texas.
True.
Turner with 4 to shoot as his pass stolen by Patterson. 4-on-2. Patterson shuffles back to Robinson for the lefty lane.
Well, open floor turnovers against a team that's looking to transition is dangerous, obviously. It's not necessarily the number of turnovers. Sometimes it's where you have them. That's a dangerous one.
And a whistle away from the ball. They are giving a courtesy shoe tying whistle there. Jamie Dixon may not like that.
No.
Got to give the defense time to tie their shoes. That's an advantage for his team. Here's Tolbert. To Turner. Shot clock down to 10. Turner looking to dump it inside, tossed it a little too far, and it's out of bounds off of Texas Tech, a little unnerved early here.
Yeah, you know, the turnovers mounting. Pittsburgh is a team that has built its consistent excellence with the defense, and if you're Tubby Smith, you've got to get great point guard play from Roberts. I mean, I've watched a couple of tapes of theirs, Ryan, and without Roberts on the floor, they're an entirely different group.
Nice pass pass inside. Zana couldn't finish, but will get to the line. Robert Turner's known for protecting the ball. That's what he does with that Texas Tech offense. But early on, a few turnovers. And as you mentioned, the Pittsburgh defense right now 7th in the nation in scoring D.
Well, they're long, they're athletic, they're up in the passing lanes. And it's interesting because Pittsburgh philosophically has had to make some changes because of the new rules.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that for 12 years, dating back to Ben Howland first taking over, one of the more rugged, physical defenses you'll ever face.
That's what Tubby Smith talked about before the game with us, that was his #1 concern, the physicality of Pittsburgh, as Zana missed them both. Pittsburgh the 4-0 edge early on, and almost another turnover. Would have been the 3rd already.
Look at the length and activity of this defense.
Williams Jr. trying to cut through, slicing his way, finds the trailer. Tolbert for the finish.
Good job. You know, if somebody is up and pressuring you and your handle's good enough to get by, even if it's creating opportunities for somebody else, and Tolbert, good relocation, making himself an option.
Robinson curling around the screen. Here's Patterson stepping into a 3. In and out, offensive board Zana, but he was fending off Kravich, and will be whistled for the loose ball foul.
You'll watch Williams go through the lane here, just gets a little look at the rim, gets met there, and Tolbert does a nice job crashing the boards. Good job by Williams not to, you know, try to force a tough shot. Didn't look like the defense was going to connect with him physically, so he makes the right choice.
Williams, the Brooklyn native, making his first start of the year, has about 100 family and friends here today.
Went to high school about 6 blocks away.
Yeah, that's right. Pacific High School. Here is Williams Jr. Looking to enter to Tolbert, has the pass knocked away. It will stay with Texas Tech. 10 on the shot clock as Kravich will come out and Kadir Tapsoba will check in. Shot blocking specialist for the Red Raiders. Here's Turner on the jumper. Welcome to ESPN's coverage of college basketball semifinal action of the Progressive Legends Classic, part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's. Pittsburgh Panthers taking on the Texas Tech Red Raiders from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Ryan Rucco, Doris Burke with you. 4 minutes into the first half, and Pittsburgh with the 4-2 lead. Neither offense is finding rhythm thus far. That pass knocked away. It will stay with Pittsburgh. After the timeout with 15:46 to go in the first half, and the Panthers with a 4-2 lead over the Red Raiders. As we welcome you courtside here at Barclays Center, alongside Doris Burke. I am Ryan Rucco. You know, Doris, we talk about early in the season. A lot of times teams get fat with their records, right?
Yes.
But we talked about it a little bit earlier, but for Pittsburgh, a team that is always going to win 20 games, they're 4-0 thus far this year. This is a nice early season test against Tubby Smith's Texas Tech team.
We are moving closer to the holidays, but college basketball teams are ramping up their schedule. They want to find out as they move closer to conference play, what exactly do we have? Their competitive juices start to flow a little bit. And what a transition for Texas Tech with Tubby Smith. You've got the picture of instability that Texas Tech has been over the course of the last several years. And now all of a sudden you bring in a guy with a tremendous resume, a national championship, his 5th head coaching job, his 23rd year as a head coach at Division I. So you go from instability to instant credibility with Tubby Smith.
Take a look at tonight's one-on-one. Just further highlighting exactly what you're talking about, Doris, when it comes to the head coaching prowess of Tubby Smith.
So you've got a Pittsburgh team that for over a decade has been the picture of excellence and success, and they've done it here with their defense and their rebounding and their toughness. Now, in this new age, does that change a little bit? And listen, Lubbock, Texas is a unique institution to recruit to, Texas Tech. So for me, Tubby Smith is as good a sell as there is in college basketball. If I'm a parent, he's exactly the kind of man I would like my son to play for.
talk to people around Texas Tech, and they speak about what kind of man he is and how incredible the culture he's creating there is, and being around him every day, observing him. Well, he actually is. He's as good a guy as he's advertised as. You take a look at the Texas Tech coaching timeline. It's been run after Bobby Knight had a nice run at Texas Tech. It really has been chaos.
It has been, and you're talking about Tubby Smith, who, whether he's gone to 4 Elite Eights, 9 Sweet 16, 17 NCAAs, 19 times he's won at least 20 games. But beyond that, there is a high character to the way he approaches his job. That is exactly what this university needs in its head coach.
His team off to a 4-1 start. Cameron Wright, handling Wall, James Robinson in the backcourt. Here's Patterson. Wright with 3 to shoot, gonna have to let it fly. Does. Hits rim, and then it's out of bounds off Patterson. As we take a look at who is on the floor, brought to you by Progressive. Cameron Wright, James Robinson, Lamar Patterson, Michael Young, Derek Randall off the bench, Jamal Williams Jr., A. Crockett, Tolbert. So the remaining starters on the floor for Texas Tech. So that one goes spurting into the backcourt, and another turnover for Texas Tech. That's number 4 in the early going. And Pittsburgh will go to its bench. Deron Johnson, who Jamie Dixon highlighted as one of the real positive early season surprises for his team.
I'll tell you what, this guy checks into a basketball game and there is no conscience. If he's got a look at all, he's letting it fly, and he can get it going offensively from deep.
Patterson cruising through, lays it in, and a foul as the blocking call was made, and a chance for a 3-point play for Lamar Patterson.
It's always nice when players in college basketball are asked to do more and are able to meet the challenge. And see, this to me is a prototypical example of where the new rules come into play, because I think in the past that's a charge. But I think because the new rule forces these officials to determine the upward motion of that offensive player, by and large, those are going to be block calls. That's just the way it's going to be.
That's this year, one of those points of emphasis. So Tapsoba ends up being whistled with the personal. Onwuasor is now running the point for Texas Tech. Here's Crockett. Dusty Hannes normally starts, coming off the bench today. Tapsoba trying to dump it in. And a foul on Pittsburgh as Tolbert was hooked, establishing position underneath.
Well, isn't it interesting that Jamie Dixon has elected to go with Michael Young to guard one of their best players in Jordan Tolbert? And that speaks to this young 6'8", 245-pound freshman and what this team thinks about his defensive abilities.
Give a freshman that assignment, no doubt, showing real faith from Dixon. Onwuasor hopping around, finds Hannes, catch and shoot from the corner. Off front rim, no good back tap from Kravitz. Aaron Ross just checked into the game for Texas Tech.
With Pittsburgh into his zone, something that Jamie Dixon has used a little bit more than early on in his career.
Early this season has been showing it.
Almost went to it exclusively against Fresno State.
Kravitz. Here's Hannes looking to penetrate the pull-up. Off back rim, no. And then a strong-handed board in traffic from Randall.
Hannes did not make that shot, but that in-between game is an area of growth for him.
Turnover from Pittsburgh. Sloppy play in the early going. Onwuasor banks it up too strong. Kravitz has it knocked away. Ross trying to clean up the trash. He will.
Good persistence across the front line of Texas Tech.
That was a concern for Jamie Dixon, that front line depth that Texas Tech has and experience. Working around the perimeter. Jamal Artis feeds Patterson. A 3 is good for Lamar Patterson, the do-it-all man for Pittsburgh. He has 6 points.
He shot it well from deep. He came into this game 7 for 17, so upward of 40%. Gets it off quickly.
Hannes around the screen from Ross. Feeds him in the corner. Kravitz on the ball fake. His pass intercepted. Turnover number 5 for Texas Tech. Robinson trying to race ahead, got clobbered, and James Robinson will head to the line as the Panthers turn more Tubby Smith team turnovers into trips to the line.
Yeah, they have really, it's been self-inflicted wounds thus far for Texas Tech, because every time they turn it over, Pittsburgh is trying to change ends quickly.
Off and running with Robinson. He was 11 of 12 from the line thus far this season. And Robinson connects on the first. Some substitutions as Cameron Wright will check in. Zana back in.
I like this young man at the line. You know, you were talking about him earlier, saying one of the most underrated guards in the country. They ask a lot of him, Ryan.
Yeah.
They ask him to guard the best perimeter guy and then run his team, make shots. You know, there's a burden of responsibility, but this is a young man very poised beyond his years.
And he is the guy who late in the game, shot clock winding down,
yes,
when they need a bucket, that's when he will look for his own offense. There's a foul underneath on Deron Johnson. He's trying to deny the entry pass to Gocher and gets whistled for the personal. A 12-4 lead for Pittsburgh. 4-0 for the 15th time in the last 16 years. And there's another Texas Tech turnover. That is 6 already. And the pass knocked away by Gocher on the other end.
And initially you'd say, listen, for Tubby Smith's team, that last turnover by Hannes was just trying to make a great play instead of the simple pass and then reset your offense.
Right.
But there's also been times where it's Pittsburgh jumping the gun in a passing lane. So it's been a combination of being creative and then some unforced errors.
Here's Wright. Kick to the corner. Johnson a quick trigger. In and out. Ravage tipped the rebound right to Artis, and Pittsburgh able to take advantage of the second chance. Ravage has the size, but Ravage is not known for his boarding. Pittsburgh on a 7-0 burst. And now a foul called against Newkirk. That's exactly what you're talking about this year in college basketball.
That's it. And that is nowhere near a foul a season ago. If that were a foul in the old days, 10 years ago when he first got the job, Pittsburgh would foul out every player on its team. But this is the freedom of movement. You're allowed one measure-up touch. But look at that. I mean, can you imagine?
That's barely a scrape.
The defense, to me, I mean, it's a tall order. I think you'll see a lot more zone from teams because of the new rules.
Scoring had dropped so much in college basketball. This is the way they're trying to get it back up, hopefully, eventually establishing more of a flow and rhythm, not just stoppage, free throw, stoppage, free throw. But it takes a while to get used to that. Flying in, the nice shovel from Wright. Artis can't finish, though, and Crockett on the board for Texas Tech. Here's Turner. Turner cradling through, flips it up wildly and drew the contact. Robert Turner trying to make something happen will go to the line.
I think he's got to be the guy. I know that Tolbert and Crockett are their best interior guys, and this guy drives them, though, to me. Athletically, he's very special.
Talib Zana, whistle for his second personal. Pittsburgh out to the 10-point edge. First half action.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. TrueCar. When buying a car, save time, save money, and never overpay. Visit TrueCar.com. And Radio Shack, where you'll find great deals on the hottest brands this Black Friday. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
A reminder that coming up next here on ESPN2 will be our second semifinal from the Progressive Legends Classic, part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Stanford Cardinal facing the Houston Cougars, and tomorrow night the championship game from Barclays Center here in Brooklyn at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN. You in the first semifinal matchup here in Brooklyn. Pittsburgh off to a 10-point lead on Texas Tech, and Lamar Patterson off to a hot start, Doris.
Well, he came into the game with 117 games played, 74 starts, so there's experience there. This is a typical program player in Pitt's history. And how about this? He's not the point guard, but leading them in assists, does a lot of different things for this group. Blocking shots, making the right find in transition. I think back over their history. Guys like Carl Krauser, Brandon Knight, who's on the sideline, Chevy Troutman. I mean, they have a history of developing players and keeping guys for a long time. That's why the departure of Steven Adams, I think they were anticipating he would be there a bit longer.
Lamar Patterson, a player who does a little bit of everything for Pittsburgh, as Texas Tech brings it into a long scoring drought as Turner hits a free throw. Texas Tech had gone more than 3 minutes without denting the scoreboard, and Turner hits both.
And that guy at the free throw line, Turner, was one of their major concerns, that matchup. And his ability to make the game easier for Crockett.
And here he's harassing James Robinson. Just right for Pittsburgh. Robinson patient. As is right, waiting for the screen from Artis. Against the mismatch. Looking to take advantage of it. Pivoting around, the fall away rolls in.
Nice looking move. Get a paint touch, get yourself under control, and survey your options. So much will open up if you get to the middle of the floor.
Pittsburgh 6 of 12 from the field in the early going. Here's Crockett. Sneaks one in. Tolbert gets denied, and it's controlled by Pittsburgh. Robinson has numbers. Will fall back to Johnson. A three is good. And a 19-6 lead for Pittsburgh early on over Texas Tech.
A 12-2 run after they had put a 7-0 spurt on them. It starts with Cameron Wright doing a nice job just using his pivot foot, puts it up soft on the rim, and then here's your prototypical point guard. Doesn't even have balance, yet he finds the right guy. Nicely done.
At Barclays Center, semifinals of the Progressive Legends Classic in Pittsburgh. Off to a sparkling start, a 19-6 lead over Texas Tech. Here's Crockett. Reed being run around the perimeter as Williams Jr. has the three, maybe partially blocked there, way off the mark. And nothing doing for the Texas Tech offense.
Good defense by Turner. Nicely done. Just getting in a stance and prohibiting that layup.
Robinson spinning around, finds Johnson. Another one.
I'll tell you what, he's not shy. And he's a kid who, if he misses 4 or 5 straight, he doesn't even think about it. It's almost like he's forgotten it as soon as it's released from his fingertips.
He will literally, as you said before, Doris, I mean, he'll look to shoot from anywhere.
Anywhere. And can get it going fast. And, you know, you think about a guy like that, you want him in your starting lineup. No, you love the change of pace he gives you off the bench and the lift he provides. There is the pressure Robert Turner can put on you off the dribble drive. They need more of that.
Sixth team foul already on Pittsburgh. So one away from the bonus. Pittsburgh with the 22-6 edge. Here's Gocher. Swinging it around. Turner. Sneaks a pass inside. Tolbert. Good close on the perimeter there from Pittsburgh.
Well, they're long, they're athletic, they close the gap quickly. There's excellent communication.
No space, suffocating D, but the shot does go down for Jay Crockett.
And that's with a very good challenge in Crockett's face. I mean, that takes concentration.
You can just see every time Texas Tech makes that extra pass, and it seems like they might have space. Boom.
Right, exactly. Well, Turner makes a great pass into the post. They get ball reversal, but Pittsburgh just closing so quickly.
Here's Robinson. Penetration. Kick to the corner. Good ball fake from Patterson. Robinson with a nice pass fake, and then couldn't quite finish. Here's Turner burning ahead. Into the teeth of the D. The leaner, no. And Johnson the rebound for Pitt. Patterson a corner pop. Off the mark, and Crockett snares the rebound. Turner, full speed all the time, flips it up, and again, just didn't quite have the touch. Putting that pressure on now that you were talking about, Doris, but just not quite finishing.
Yeah. And the guys have got to run with him and try to offensive board it.
Here's Wright. Around the screen. Patterson alone for three is good. And a 25-8 lead. Lamar Patterson has 9 points for Pittsburgh. Turner looking to enter the post instead. Settle for Crockett. Tolbert with the jab step. Setting the screen for Turner. Turner had it poked away. Shot clock is down to 8. Here's Tolbert, the face-up jumper. Rolls off, and the rebound to Patterson. Good feed inside. Randall, though, denied by Crockett. Here's Patterson. Rummaging through, finds Wright for the lay-in.
You're forcing Texas Tech into so many closeouts, and then the ball keeps moving, and your defense never catches up, and Tubby's got to use another one.
Tubby Smith will call a timeout. Pittsburgh with the 27-8 edge. 7:18 to go in this first half.
I think if you're Tubby Smith, you knew this was going to be a process and that it would take some time. You've got to recruit. It usually takes at least 2 recruiting classes for him. I think about these young men from Texas Tech, and Robert Turner is the new addition, the first signee under Tubby Smith. You look at a guy like Jay Crockett, number 30 there on your screen. This guy has played for 4 coaches in 4 years. And so now, in a very short period of time, Tubby's got to institute a system, teach his offenses, teach his defenses. That's a process.
Talking with Tubby Smith before the game, he said, look, it's really, focus on sort of just getting better every day, especially early in the season.
Right.
Not big chunks, but small ones. And that he has been thrilled more than anything else with the character, that he has guys who are really willing to put in that work. Obviously.
I watched him practice yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fast-paced. It was on point. It was competitive. The guys were doing the drills incredibly hard. But the reality is, they're up against it in terms of the talent differential here, the length and athleticism, the system that Jamie has had in place for such a long time. Talking about 2 programs in 2 different places.
Yeah, and another steal there. Turnover number 7 for Texas Tech as they pick the pocket right back. But here comes Pitt now on the loose ball, who's going to end up with it. And it's going to be whistled a jump. Possession arrow belongs to Pittsburgh. It will be Panthers basketball when we get back. They're off to a 27-8 lead on Texas Tech here in Brooklyn.
Jonathan Coates with LaFonso Ellis back here in the studio. How about this, LaFonso? Number 3 Kentucky behind Cleveland State at the half.
Oh, their lack of ability to knock down consistent three-point shots hurt them tonight.
And Oklahoma State, number 5 on the road to South Florida, Marcus Smart. How about 23 at the half?
How about the improved range working hard on that J?
Having a good time. We'll be here all night. Ryan Doors, back to you. Good evening.
Good evening to you, Jonathan. I'm glad they're having a good time. We're having a good time, too.
That's double trouble back there. Look out, the coach and LaFonso. I love it.
Here at Barclays Center, Pittsburgh off to a screaming start, a 27-8 lead over Texas Tech. Panthers have taken advantage of 8 Red Raiders turnovers.
They switch now, come out of their man-to-man and go zone against Pittsburgh. And, you know, interestingly, look at what Pittsburgh has done. Let's see what they do here offensively, but they've got 4 threes and 12 points in the paint. They're playing like an NBA team. They're almost non-existent mid-range. There's another 3.
All high efficiency shots. None of those long twos.
Right. The in-between game. You know, it's interesting. The NBA has gone so heavy analytics. Does that now creep into college basketball?
Yes. Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh defense suffocating thus far. Texas Tech with as many turnovers as they have points. Kravitz had it poked away. Here's Crockett off the mark. Kravitz trying to flag it down. He will. Finds Aiden Crockett. Onwuasor lays it up. No. Nothing going down for Texas Tech as Patterson comes away with the rebound. Finds Wright. And Wright contacted, will go to the line for 2.
Well, you can see why Pittsburgh believes it can be more of a transition game than ever in their history. They've got speed at multiple positions. They're maybe more skilled in multiple positions than they've ever been.
A reminder that tonight, coming up at midnight Eastern here on ESPN2, we'll have the final quarterfinal game from the EA Sports Maui Invitational as part of Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Dayton facing 11th ranked Gonzaga. Both semifinals come your way on ESPN tomorrow at 7 and 9 Eastern. The championship game Wednesday at 10 Eastern on ESPN.
Mark Few just keeps rolling at Gonzaga. And
amazing.
Kevin Pangos is one of the outstanding shooters in the country. We so rarely get to see him.
What a save and steal there from Wright. And now Artis flips it up a little bit off. The loose ball getting banged around all over. Here's an opportunity 2-on-1 for Texas Tech. Onwuasor is called for the charge. And what a sequence there from Cameron Wright. Had as athletic a steal and save as you'll see, followed up by drawing a charge in transition.
Just extraordinary effort from the jump. I mean, look at this play. Just gives up his body knowing he's going to have to absorb those plays. And then this. You've got to be set. And if there's any movement at all defensively, it's going to be a block. So he does the right thing and makes sure his feet are down and he's stationary.
First gave up his body to a chair.
Yes.
And then to a full steam point guard.
What do coaches always talk about? Multiple effort plays. That was a prime example of multiple effort play.
Setting a tone with a 21-point lead, no less. Here's Wright to the corner. Patterson on the ball fake. Going to dish you back out. Newkirk. Wright, kick, corner. Patterson tried to force it up and drew the contact. Might get Crockett for that one. They will.
Boy, it looked like that might have been a clean block by Crockett.
16 foul on Texas Tech as Patterson will go to the stripe. Lamar Patterson already off to a terrific start in this one. 9 points, 3 assists, a couple rebounds, a few steals as well. Make it 10 points for Patterson as Alex Foster checks into the game for Texas Tech.
You said it. Patterson does a little bit of everything. He's trying to join Carl Krauser and Brad Wanamaker. Those are 2 Pitt program players to go over 1,000 boards and 500 rebounds, 400 assists. It's an outside shot for Patterson. The assist number's awfully high.
And a whistle against Pittsburgh as Randall sent Luke Adams flying to the deck. Adams, the 5'9" junior, one of the toughest kids you will meet. Actually is deaf and wears cochlear implants, one of only about 40,000 people in the country who do. In order to be able to hear out there on the floor, that's the ear device you see on Adams. But he's an incredible communicator with this team and a pass-first point guard who can control the offense off the bench for minutes here and there.
I've got a very good friend who's got a significant hearing deficit, and she tells me all the time that it's exhausting when you're trying to grasp everything in every conversation. So you said how tough this guy must be. Think about what it's like for that guy in practice every day.
Right. The three is good from Newkirk as Pittsburgh's lead balloons to 26. They're 5 of 11 from downtown.
Pittsburgh's got length, they've got athleticism, they've got some depth.
Ross hits the three to bring an end to the 12-0 Pittsburgh run.
Had to redshirt a year ago because of a knee injury.
Aaron Ross, in his limited minutes thus far, has given Texas Tech a little bit of a spark. Texas Tech at just 11 points thus far this half. Newkirk will fire again. Not that time. And Adams, the rebound. Eyes up, down the floor for Adams. Ross. Pittsburgh wanted a walk there. Good ball fake from Tolbert, and he draws the contact against Randall of Pittsburgh. Timeout on the floor. 3:50 left in the first half. It is all Pittsburgh here in Brooklyn.
All right, the coach back in here at halftime. We're talking about Marcus Smart coming off a 39-point performance, not slowing down tonight against South Florida. Also, Kentucky struggling at home. We're going to talk about their great freshman, Julius Randle. We're doing it all at the half. LaFonso Ellis is standing by with his analysis. Ryan, Doors, back to you.
Looking forward to that, Coach, here in Brooklyn. Pittsburgh with the 34-11 lead on Texas Tech. Doris, just taking a look at some of the numbers, too. Right now, Texas Tech 22% from the field, 10 turnovers, sort of tells the story we've seen.
Yeah, we came on to the telecast tonight showing you Pittsburgh's defensive numbers, and you look over the history of their program. That is how it has been built. And it's interesting, talking to Brandon Knight, the assistant coach for Pittsburgh, you know, I said, how does a program, and I know they haven't been as physical over the last several years as maybe prototypical Pitt teams, but how do you teach it, Brandon, when your philosophy has been physicality and toughness? There has been some manhandling to know to be going on in the Big East, and he said, to be honest with you, he said, we've had to stress it every single drill. You know, remind them it's guarding without fouling, and it has to be drilled every single day because it's a complete change in mindset.
Corner pop is good from Patterson. The mindset has been the 3-ball tonight for Pittsburgh, and Patterson has 3 of them and 14 points.
Jamie Dixon said this could be maybe the most talented shooting team he's had in his history there.
Patterson, another try. That time left it short. Michael Young cleaning up the offensive glass, gets fouled on the putback, and will go to the line to shoot a pair after yet another Texas Tech turnover. They have 11 in this opening half. As Michael Young will go to the line and try and increase the lead. And you know Tubby Smith not going to like 11 first-half turnovers.
Patience. I think he's going to have to be patient. Probably very little he hasn't seen in 23 years as a head coach and 35 years along the sideline.
Incredible resume for Tubby Smith, who has been to the NCAA tournament 17 times as a head coach, 9 Sweet 16 appearances. Young gets that one to rattle home. It's a 39-13 Pittsburgh lead.
Interestingly, Tubby Smith, when he was an undergraduate at High Point, had 4 different head coaches himself. So he knows exactly what Jay Crockett has been through. And there's Dusty Hannes with the 3.
And Dusty Hannes finally puts Texas Tech over Lamar Patterson's individual point total for Pittsburgh. It's a 16-14 edge for Tech over Patterson. And now Jamie Dixon out onto the floor. Wants a timeout, will get it. Came out about 10 feet in order to call it and get his team to the bench. Now, talking about Tubby Smith, taking a look at his career timeline for us. So much to be proud of. Tulsa took to 2 Sweet 16s, then at Georgia, a 45-19 record in 2 seasons before he went and had a phenomenal run in Kentucky. And then at Minnesota, most recently for 7 seasons, went to the postseason 5 times, and here he is bringing 515 career wins with him to Texas Tech.
I remember Dick Vitale being absolutely shocked that Minnesota was letting him go. His 6-year total there, 124 wins, 81 losses. And obviously, I mean, the only thing you could point to is his Big Ten record was maybe not what you had hoped, but
right.
I was a little bit surprised. It reminds me a little bit in the NBA, in the Western Conference, you had the 3rd, 4th, and 5th winningest teams in the West, and all of them got fired. I mean, the coach of the year in the NBA, George Karl, got fired. And I just go down to the collegiate level, same thing. What do you expect from these coaches? I mean, I just don't, frankly, I don't understand it.
The security for that job has dwindled and dwindled throughout the years at both levels. As an offensive foul is called on Artis, was not quite set on the screen, and that's going the other way.
How much of what we see, and let's focus on college basketball since tonight we're talking about college basketball, how much do you think sort of the revolving door has to do with social media?
Yes.
And fans having sort of this immediate reaction and maybe generating momentum, you know, on blogs, et cetera, et cetera. You think that's a part of it, Ryan?
I do, and that's exactly what I was thinking as we initiated the discussion, because now you have administrators and people in authority who, whether they want to or not, are going to hear that in some fashion. And whether it's conscious or not, as Crockett lays it in, I would think it'd have to penetrate your mind in some way and start to create some sort of feeling within you that maybe just pushes the envelope a little bit further when it comes to decisions, right?
A little further and a little faster.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, no doubt. And just, this is not a shameless plug, but Pittsburgh has not been overly thrilled with their defense in the second 20 minutes. And one thing you look at when a team, and I think that's why Jamie went to that quick timeout, when you look at a team like Texas Tech right now, okay, who's down, and down significantly, you look at how hard the guys are playing. Because for Tubby Smith and his staff, wins and losses won't be how they evaluate this program this year. It cannot be. And so, are my guys playing hard? Are they playing regardless of what the score is? I'm telling you, they're not going to go away. They will play hard tonight.
So don't go anywhere. I'll do the shameless plug for you. How about that?
Meanwhile, I am remembering I am paid by ESPN.
Michael Young hits both free throws. And checking back in is Todrick Gocher. as Crockett will get a breather.
And Texas Tech has made their last 3 shots. Now, can they put another one in?
That's right. Started 3 of 17 from the field, or 3 of their last 3. Here's Turner. Got jumbled up with Hannes. Plenty of time still on the shot clock.
Oh, their hedge on the ball screen, that is tough to deal with. You've got long athletes on the hedge, and hedge and recover quick.
Oh, good hesitation by Wright, but they call it carry on.
Wow. He's looking like, really? Are you sure?
He's thinking, I think that was just a little too pretty for human eyes.
I did that this summer and it worked.
Yeah, that's right. A turnover for Pittsburgh with 1:20 remaining in the first half, and Pittsburgh the 41-18 lead. Gocher guarded by Patterson. Here's Turner. Wide eyes as he goes into the lane and gets partially blocked from behind by Wright. That's out of bounds. Last touch Pittsburgh, 11 to shoot for Texas Tech. See Wright on the wing as well, long arms. Length of Pittsburgh always apparent, including Patterson, who guards Hannes to trigger in.
They're going to be able to gap their defense because they can recover so quickly. They can close down things fast.
Tolbert banked it up too strong, then had the second attempt knocked off him, out of bounds to Pittsburgh.
I think about the advantage when you have length and athleticism, particularly with the new rules, right? When I say gap, you can sit in a passing lane. You can get down in the stance, sit in the paint, protect the paint, and still get out to shooters. Choppy steps to close out on drivers.
Patterson with a good ball fake. Nice recovery from Ross on the help. Here's Robinson. Right. Patterson, nice move, lays it up. No, a little too strong. And then Patterson touched it while he was out of bounds. It's Texas Tech basketball. They can hold for a final shot here at the end of the first half. Turner will be content to let the clock wind in a half that has been dominated by Pittsburgh. Shot 46% from the floor, just 26% for Texas Tech. 2 seconds left. Gocher a little bit off on the 3, and that's how the half will come to an end. Pittsburgh a 41-18 lead on Texas Tech. Big first half from Lamar Patterson. 14 points on 4 of 7 shooting, helping guide the Panthers to this big cushion. Time to head over to Jonathan Coachman in the studio with the Land Rover halftime report.
Ryan Dorst, thank you so much. Welcome back in. Our lead story going on in Lexington, Kentucky. Number 3, the Wildcats hosting Cleveland State. LaFonso Ellis. Cleveland State, the Vikings, they are not intimidated at all going into Rupp Arena.
Well, they're getting after them on the backboard. Kentucky's a plus 19 on the year on the boards. They've given up 11 offensive rebounds so far in this game.
Later, Kentucky down 3, making 1. Julius Randle, the super freshman. And for some reason, showed a little attitude there and limping after the jam. Now, later, 4-point game. Cleveland State, Trey Lewis drives and hits. They would push this one out in the second half.
Well, the inability to contain the basketball on dribble drive has hurt Kentucky as well.
11 offensive rebounds for Cleveland State. Right now, they're up by 8, under 12 minutes to go in the second half there. Welcome into the Land Rover halftime report. LaFonso Ellis, Jonathan Coachman. Let's talk Kentucky for a little bit because there's so much going on across the country. But when you see this score coming across the bottom line, whoa, wait a second. What's been the biggest reason Kentucky's been unable to get anything going at home?
Well, in this game, they're unable to contain the dribble drive, and they're predicated on their defense. And when they can get into gaps, Cleveland State, now all of a sudden guys have to come over and help. And as you saw in that play, they are not coming over. They're not early to the help. It's really hurting Kentucky. Another area that they're struggling is on the boards. They've given up 11 offensive boards to a Cleveland State team. Now, this Kentucky team, they're long, they're athletic, they should not be giving up extra possessions, and they're also struggling from the three-point line. Only one made three-point field goal in this game. They are struggling across the board.
When you've got a guy like Julius Randle, we saw him in the second half against Michigan State, really start to take over. If he's healthy in these final 10 minutes, does John Calipari say, you know what? We've got to get him the rock and just move everybody else out of the way.
And you would think they should be able to do just that, to feature him down low in the post, get it to him, and then get cutters through. And the Harrison brothers can stand out there and get open shots. But the problem is they're not getting it to him in the box. He's being fronted. They're not getting someone flashing up at the opposite side elbow to be able to play the high-low game over the top. And again, it's just fundamentally they are not executing well on the offensive end.
The numbers are ugly. The home folks are like, wow, 30% shooting, 1 of 9 from 3. They're just not getting it done. We'll continue to update that game throughout the evening. Still to come here on the Land Rover Halftime Report, Marcus Smart, 39 his last time out, 23 in the first half. We talk the super soft next.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. This halftime report is presented by Land Rover. Above and beyond.
All right, LaFonso Ellison, the coach, back with you. Oklahoma State, number 5. Marcus Smart on the road at the Sun Dome, taking on South Florida. And here's a kid, came back for his sophomore year, 39 his last time out, 23 tonight in the first half.
His leadership, incredible. And I love big guard, 6'4", 220, powerhouse guard.
And nailing that one from beyond half court. That was point 21, 22, and 23. Oklahoma State up by 16. That is worth one more look. Right now, Oklahoma State up by 16. Marcus Smart hasn't scored in the second half because he seems like a kid, and we talked about this as we were watching the game here in the studio, LaFonso, that does what he needs to do. If he needs to score 40, he can score 40. If he needs to pass it around when they have a 16-point lead, he can do that too.
The key to his play is his versatility. 6'4", 220 pounds. Is he a point guard? Is he a 2? Is he a 3? No, he's just a player, a guy who can put it on the deck. He's an outstanding leader. And when he gets a full steam ahead, I love his ability not only to be able to change speed, but change direction. He's worked on his perimeter jump shot, which was the reason why he came back to school. And that three-point jump shot is looking good. And the thing I love about them is they realize, Oklahoma State, that he's a big guard, can play inside, and they get it to him inside. That's something that's missed in college basketball, taking advantage of the mismatch. His versatility makes him an impressive player for the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboy fans can thank Oregon because he said the way they lost to Oregon last year, I couldn't go out like that. So he didn't, so he came back to campus. All right, moving on. Scotty Wilbekin, the young point guard. Well, not young, he's a senior, but he's a little point guard. Coming off his indefinite suspension tonight for the Gators. How badly do they need him back?
They miss his leadership, especially now with McDonald's All-American guard Casey Hill going down with an ankle injury. You're talking about a guy who can get to the gaps. He's one of the better on-ball defensive guards in the entire country. First-team SEC defensive team last year.
All right, still to come. We're heading out to Maui. The Cuse taking all the way to the final minute by Minnesota. That's next.
This halftime report is presented by Land Rover. Above and beyond. Welcome back to the Land Rover Halftime Report.
Okay, very important game tonight over on ESPN, Monday Night Football. San Francisco, they've got 4 losses, as does Arizona. Traveling to the nation's capital, taking on RG3 of the Redskins, getting ready to kick off momentarily. All right, basketball news in the NBA. Horrible news for the Bulls and Derrick Rose, the point guard, had surgery to repair a torn meniscus today. Unfortunately, the team announced Rose will miss the rest of the season. The Maui Invitational. The Cuse. Jim Boeheim and company taking on Minnesota. Richard Pitino, the new head coach there.
Oh!
My goodness.
Have some.
C.J. Fair, and he's got the cut to prove it.
They didn't even call foul. And one.
They pull away late. Fair at 16-10. They play Cal now in the semis. Cal beat Arkansas 85-77 in the first game today. There you see the 2 games that'll take on will happen later tonight. 1 game on ESPNU, 1 game on ESPN2, Dayton and Gonzaga. Ohio State hosting Wyoming in Columbus. And Thad Matta college coaches never say they think it's going to be easy, but I guarantee you they thought it was going to be easier than this.
I think so, especially with the talent that they have. Aaron Craft's been there forever.
He started in like 1998, and he's on pace to graduate this year. Ohio State up 8, under 5 minutes to play there. All right, story of the night in Lexington, Kentucky. They've trailed this entire game. They continue to trail to Cleveland State, 52-44. They are just under 8 minutes to go there. We will continue to update that game throughout the second half of Pitt and Texas Tech. Speaking of Pitt, how about Lamar Patterson? 14 points. Will the beatdown continue? Ryan Doors after.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week, presented by Lowe's.
Barclays Center in Brooklyn, Pittsburgh, with a dominant first half, a 41-18 lead over Texas Tech as we get ready to begin the second half. Welcoming you courtside, Ryan Rucco, alongside Doris Burke. I mean, what a dominant half.
We've come to expect the defense over the years for Jamie Dixon. What's a little bit surprising is the pace at which they want to play and the shots they're making. This is giving good evidence to the idea that they could have the best shooting team in his history. This is really what plagued Texas Tech. Turnovers leading to transition opportunities, many of which were either from three or from right inside the paint. And really all good things happening for Pittsburgh, and many coming off of Mr. Patterson doing all the things he does, making shots, driving and dishing.
Taking a look at the first half stats brought to you by TrueCar. Pittsburgh shooting 46% from the floor compared to 25% for Texas Tech. Pittsburgh active from 3 as well. The turnovers, a huge difference. Red Raiders turning it over 12 times in that first half, Doris.
And there were times where it was Pittsburgh's defense, Ryan, and if you're Tubby Smith, you can live with those. It's the unforced errors where you're trying to make the home run pass instead of the simple pass.
Here's Robert Turner. Original starting 5 on the floor for each team. Jamal Williams, who has the basketball, getting the start tonight for Texas Tech. Here's a 3 from the wing and a good start to the second half for Texas Tech as Jay Crockett connects.
And the game tapes I watched, I like watching Crockett play, and he's had to make an adjustment this year. He's played 4 his whole life. Tubby Smith recognizing that he's probably better suited to play the 3, especially if he goes on in his career.
He's worked on his handle a lot to adjust to that 3. Oh, nice crossover from Patterson up under and in. Lamar Patterson with 16 points to lead all scorers. Kravich. Turner looking to enter. Good defense from Wright. Kravich has nothing. Williams finds Crockett. Nice feed, and Crockett got in deep for the finish.
Yeah, so building a little momentum. Nice job by Crockett to get some activity going early.
Jay Crockett with 5 points quickly in this second half. That pass, not enough on it. A steal for Texas Tech. Turner, the lob, and the finish from Crockett.
Going to get a timeout, Pittsburgh, and rightly so. And right before we went to half, remember what I said. Pittsburgh had been much better in their first 20 than their second 20, and that Tubby Smith would not allow his team to quit.
7 quick points from Texas Tech. They've shaved the Pittsburgh lead down to 18. Second half action here at Barclays Center.
Absolute storm.
Parker for 3. Yes! Lob. Parker!
Remember the name, Jabari Parker.
A reminder that the championship game of the NIT season tip-off from Madison Square Garden can be seen this coming Friday on ESPN at 6 Eastern. Championship game, part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. Jabari Parker's kind of fun to watch, right?
Oh,
Just a
my
little
goodness. I had his first game against Davidson. He scored the first 7 points. Sticks a mid-range jump shot. I said, this kid has 0 stage fright. 0.
I'm here, guys. I'm here. Meanwhile, for Texas Tech, Jay Crockett has come out and scored the first 7 of the second half for the Red Raiders. Young got his man in the air. The hook is good for Michael Young.
What a nice-looking young player. I'll tell you what, 6'8", 245 freshman who they have given a big assignment to, Tolbert.
Nice steal there from Wright, trying to race ahead of Kravitz with the left-handed finish.
I'll tell you what, the length they have to get out in passing lanes, challenge, create steals opportunities, very impressive.
13 turnovers for Texas Tech, 12 of them coming in the first half. Kravitz backing into Zana. The fall-away hook, no good with the right hand. And Young the rebound. Here's Robinson. Patterson has a game-high 16. Zana backing in. Double comes.
That pass has got to be quicker if you're Zana.
And Young, not enough on it. Skying in for the rebound was Crockett, and Turner comes away with it for Texas Tech. Red Raiders will set up the offense. Here's Kravitz looking to turn the corner. Floats it up and gets the roll.
A skilled big man, and you could tell him they're going to ask him to be more of a low post guy and develop that low post game, but his want is to be a perimeter guy, which is fairly standard. 7 foot, 235 pounds. Let me handle the ball from the high post, coach.
Sort of has that Euro game to him. Here's Patterson. Zana with the high screen. Screen from Young. Right, tried to feed it to Young and is poked out of bounds. Punched nicely by Tolbert. Jumped the route and only 8 to shoot for Pittsburgh.
Looked like some confusion early. Some misplaced players. Very little spacing for Pittsburgh.
Theron Johnson will check into the game for Pittsburgh. Came out on fire in the first half, hit his first 2 threes, only has taken 1 field goal since.
I'm guessing this shot will be up quickly if he gets it.
4 on the shot clock. Robinson bounces it out. Patterson, the mid-range J. A little too strong. Williams picking his way down the floor. Rocket backing in, fading away, and banking in. He has 9 in the second half.
Yeah, it's been terrific, and a lot of it just seems like he's playing with a ton more energy.
Robinson trapped in the backcourt. Here's Patterson rushing it across. Patterson, full head of steam, goes up, under, and in.
That's frustrating if you're Tubby Smith. I mean, he just put his head down. He's talking to one of his assistants. Stop the basketball. Lamar Patterson had more assists than anybody in that first half. Stop him.
Turner a little bit off with the left hand. That might have last touched Pitt. It did. Deflected off of Johnson. It'll be Texas Tech basketball when we get back. Timeout on the floor. Tubby Smith instructing his team. Pittsburgh with the 20-point edge on the Red Raiders.
Lamar Patterson has played very much like a senior. How about that? Splits, able to adjust midair. That's not bad, Ryan Rucco.
LaFonso and the coach back in studio. Kentucky trailed by double figures at home tonight, but Andrew Harris, those freshmen LaFonso, quite a comeback.
That's Kentucky basketball attacking off the bounce.
Oh, everybody loves it. We'll keep you updated. Ryan Doris, back to you.
Thank you, Coach. Interesting developments in Kentucky. Meanwhile, here at Barclays Center, Pittsburgh with the 20-point edge over Texas Tech, although the Red Raiders have come out with a little bit more fire in this second half and certainly more offensive efficiency.
Well, they've made 5 field goals compared to just 6 in the first half. So in 5 minutes, 1 less field goal. And more importantly, Crockett has played like a different person.
9 points in the second half. Poor entry pass there from Hannes, and then Robinson gets swiped by Turner, and they'll call a foul. James Robinson turning the turnover into 2 free throws. That's one that's going to make Tubby Smith frustrated. A careless inbounds pass there from Hannes.
No question about it. He did the same thing in the first half, but that time from underneath the rim. And again, if Pittsburgh is pressuring you into mistakes because your guys are new to your system, you can live with those. That one, that's harder to deal with.
Especially because Pittsburgh will do that plenty, right? I mean, they're going to force you into enough turnovers on your own.
Exactly.
Robinson, the talented sophomore point guard, hits both free throws.
He's a young man who has an understated game until the game changes a little bit. You alluded to it. He seems to relish those moments where it's tight and you need to make a play or a pass or a shot.
Right.
You love those kids.
Sneaks the pass to Kravich, who banks it in. Kravich has been trying to force his way down there and has a couple buckets in the second half. Turner harassing Robinson, has been working hard tonight. Entry pass to Zana. Backing in Kravich, cradling through, and Zana got whacked by Tolbert. Foul against Jordan Tolbert, and a couple free throws coming for Talib Zana. Many more trips to the line for Pittsburgh. This will be free throws 16 and 17. As we check back in with Jonathan Coachman in the studio.
All right, Ryan, thank you very much. We'll get back to you in a second. Time for a live look in here. Right now, Kentucky, Cleveland State all tied up at 57, under 3 minutes to play. Kentucky, LaFonso trying to avoid the upset at home. Let's take you there live, all tied up at 57. Enjoy.
Cleveland State with 1 timeout left. Kentucky has 3. Possession arrow now favors Kentucky.
With Cleveland State, you want to try to get it back in the hot hand. One has been the guy with the basketball right there, Trey Lewis, and the other one, Forbes.
Forbes, the team's leading scorer. Offensive foul underneath, and if that's on Grady, he'll be done. That is on Anton Grady. He's done for the night.
Here he is right here in the paint. Let's take a look. Here goes the action. Posting up. And he does have him hooked. He has him hooked with his left arm. And that technical foul comes back to bite Cleveland State. A crucial foul for Anton Grady, who is very instrumental in the success of Cleveland State thus far. He will be missed for the next 2-16.
Harrison, floater in the lane, count it!
Dave, I don't think they have any idea. Look how easy this is in traffic. 1, 2, 3 green jerseys, especially with the change in the rules of officiating this year. If you're Andrew Harrison, you're 6'5", on the perimeter, you shoot it well from the free throw line. Why not go to the rim every single time until they stop you?
3-point game. 2 minutes to play. Sebastian Douglas has been quiet. here in the second half. He wears number 1 for the Vikings. Had 10 in the first half, just 3 here in the second half. Batted around, and Randall comes away with it. It's a 16-3 Kentucky run. 90 seconds to go.
Kentucky on a 16-3 run over the last 5 minutes and 45 seconds. You got to be unselfish here if you're Randall.
Aaron Harrison buries the 3. Timeout, Cleveland State. Their last of the contest.
You're watching a live look in here on ESPN2. Jonathan Coach and LaFonso Ellis back here in the studio. It looks like Kentucky finally, LaFonso, getting into a rhythm, hitting some threes, but it's taken nearly 40 minutes to make this happen.
Well, they're starting to control the backboard a lot better. Andrew Harrison taking advantage of his superior size at 6'5", attacking off the bounce, and then they throw it inside to Julius Randle, who unselfishly finds Aaron Harrison in the corner, and when they're making three-point shots, they're tough to beat.
When you have so many young players and so many freshmen, and you're only 5-6 games into a season, can games like this that you come into probably not thinking it's going to be close, but it turns out to be a really good game, how much can it help your young team if you're John Calipari?
Well, I remember coming in as a freshman. The one thing that I didn't understand is that I couldn't take any plays off, and you develop this mental toughness over time, and that's why I think these close games early for Kentucky will go a long way in terms of the psychology and how these freshmen approach every game.
Yeah, we've seen Kentucky against Michigan State. In the first half of that game, they really struggled to get an offensive rhythm. And then tonight, they trailed at halftime. They trailed by double figures in the second half. And what do you think this team is going to need to do with these young freshman point guards to get their big men going early in the game to have that offensive flow throughout the entire 40 minutes?
I think you have to take advantage of the mismatch you have every night, which is Julius Randle. Get him the basketball inside and start to play out of him. Even on that possession there that led to that 3 there for Aaron Harrison, if you notice when he caught the basketball and he was double teamed, everybody standing on the weak side. You got to get some cutters, and that's hurt them tonight, not getting in movement when they've thrown it inside to Julius Randle.
All right, Kentucky up by 6. Let's take you back out there live for the final minute 9 in Lexington.
Led by as many as 11 here in the second half.
See the activity here. Everybody down in the stands. On the ball, off the ball. Communication, switching.
Shot from Harris, no good. Kentucky's basketball. No timeouts left for the Vikings.
Just missed the shot, but a nice job of offensively executing. Now if you're Cleveland State, you need the Wildcats to make a turnover.
Here's Young. To the basket. Layup is good. Lewis blocked out of bounds. Vikings will still have it.
You know, a great job again by Kentucky.
Look at our Charter high-speed internet high-speed break. The last fast break by Young.
Young is too young to know he probably should have held that ball up.
And a foul against Kentucky. That will go against Andrew Harrison, and that'll be number 5 on the freshman.
And Coach Calipari with his arms out saying no, no, and you can see, you know, we forget sometimes because of all the accolades that these young men receive that they are just that, 18, 19-year-old kids, and they're going to make mistakes like that. But if you're watching this at home, the last thing you want to do when you're up, you're at home, 27 seconds left to go, is to foul, because it gives the team a chance to stop the clock and score points to stay in the game.
Checking in for Kentucky is Dominic Hopkins. He replaces Andrew Harrison.
Ford started out struggling from the perimeter. Give him credit. He has continued to stay persistent, as well as the rest of his team, and played an outstanding ball game tonight. Coach Gary Waters had his team prepared, Dave.
We both had a feeling this morning, watching them practice and execute, that this wasn't going to be an easy night at all for Kentucky, and I think Kentucky got more than they expected from Cleveland State, who will certainly be a factor in the Horizon League. Quick foul. That'll go against Lewis with 26 seconds in a 6-point game. Our Regents Bank player of the game. Very easy to pick this one out. Julius Randle came in leading the conference in rebounds, third in scoring, third in field goal percentage. Didn't shoot it exceptionally well, but he still picks up another double-double, 6 straight for the freshman out of Dallas, Texas. 14 rebounds, 13 points, and a couple of assists to his credit.
Dave, I love his ability to dominate the game, but he's a guy who, along with the rest of these young players for the Wildcats, still can use some improvement. You can see where a guy like Parker is better still right now in the open floor. His versatility, ability to handle the basketball. But Randall is a guy who will continue to get better, and his physical toughness is something that I think, along with his athleticism, makes him a great player.
Put back by Harris. And a quick foul on Lewis. Lewis, that'll be number 5. His night will be done, and what a performance by him, having to run the point most of the evening with the injury to Charlie Lee. And Lewis will leave here with 15 points, 4 assists, and a couple of rebounds. A gutty performance from the 6'2 sophomore who transferred in from Penn State. Sat out last year, but came up big. Gary Waters says this was an opportunity for him, and he made the most of it.
I think both teams take a lot from this game. Coach Gary Waters talked about the Europe trip that they took over the summer, and he said we wanted to get in transition and defense. But most importantly, we wanted our guys to really get to know one another and get an opportunity to bond. And he feels like that trip has really done a lot for this basketball team, and it really showed here in tonight's game.
Meanwhile, Kentucky will have a short turnaround. They will suit up again on Wednesday night as Eastern Michigan comes into town. As Randall picks up his 15th rebound of the night. And Kentucky will escape, and that, I think, is the appropriate word for this one tonight with a 68-61 win.
Well, if you're Cleveland State, you have a lot to take from this game. A nice showing, and if you're Coach Calipari, your Kentucky Wildcats, you have to do it for 40 minutes.
So hopefully you enjoyed that live look in of Kentucky surviving. And not always an early season scare is a bad thing, LaFonso. And if you were to take a positive, if you're John Calipari, out of that game tonight, what would it be?
How does your team respond to adversity? And they certainly did tonight. The game was tight, and they got back to what makes them so good, the Harrison twins attacking off the bounce. Inside out with Julius Randle knocking down a big 3, and the ability to knock down the free throw shots without giving up second chance opportunities. Huge down the stretch.
Can't wait to see or hear what John Calipari has to say after this one on a Monday night in November against Cleveland State. All right, that's going to do it for us right now. We'll send you back out to Pitt and Texas Tech in Brooklyn right after this.
Pittsburgh, the 64-38 edge on Texas Tech with 8:22 to go in this second half. And some substitutions from Pitt after Lamar Patterson matches his career high and then passes it. 23 points now on the evening for Patterson, who will stay out there for Pitt. Texas Tech made a little bit of a run there to begin the half, but the Panthers have responded since as Artis will check back in, and now Patterson will get a breather for the Panthers, who will play again tomorrow night, and if their lead holds, will play at 9:30 in the championship game of this tournament, either against Houston or Stanford. Onwuasor rims off, and Artis the rebound for Pitt. Here's Newkirk. Open is Jones for three. Way off the mark, a little too much on it. Pittsburgh quickly back in transition to defend.
They change ends quickly.
Aggressive all around tonight thus far for the Panthers. Gocher around the Ross screen. Zipping through the left side of the lane, lays it up and off, but draws the foul. And will head to the line as we step aside. 7:49 remaining in the second half. Pittsburgh, a 64-38 edge on Texas Tech.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. And 2K Sports NBA 2K14. Available now on PS4. Rated everyone.
My family actually started in Pittsburgh. My grandparents came over from Ireland and they met in Pittsburgh and got married in Pittsburgh. So my family actually started in Pittsburgh way back when in the 1920s.
Well, the roots are there, and so has the success been for Jamie Dixon now in his 11th season at Pittsburgh. Take a look at his schedule thus far. Doris, what's upcoming for Pittsburgh after the 4-0 start?
Well, if he can leave New York City without a loss, there's a really good opportunity. The next bigger challenge, maybe Cincinnati and the Jimmy B, they have a chance to be undefeated going into ACC play.
Yeah, and this is a team that has started 4-0, 15 of the last 16 years, as they are this season. Picked to finish 6th in the ACC this year. Take a look at the resume for Jamie Dixon, who has been one of the best coaches in the nation for more than a decade now.
Well, it's been extraordinary to watch consistent success in terms of conference wins year in and year out. I think some of the Titans that have coached in the Big East, Jim Boeheim, Jim Calhoun, Rick Pitino, I mean, his numbers measure very well against those legends.
Artis off the feed from Jones.
It's hard, you know, obviously there's a huge talent differential here.
Right.
Just some things to notice. One, their pace is different than a traditional Pittsburgh team. They have length, athleticism, speed, a bit of depth. We'll see the quality of depth because You know, we're not sure how consistent Johnson will be as a shooter. You've got some young pieces, a starting freshman, but I'm anxious to see this team develop over the course of the year. And maybe his best shooting team.
Yeah. When you talk to people around the team, they will say this very well could be and probably will be the best shooting team that Jamie Dixon's ever had at Pittsburgh. His team's always so tremendous on the glass, always among the nation's leaders in rebounding margin and defensively. You add the perimeter game, and they've started to get some top 25 votes now as well. Being slept on a little bit before the season, though, after losing Steven Adams, Trey Woodall.
With Steven Adams, but now you're talking about a completely different deal. What a start he's had for Oklahoma City.
Doubt. Here's Jones going baseline into Hannes and flipping it home. Chris Jones on the board off the bench. 26-point lead for Pittsburgh. Turner is held up enough by Artis. And now the entry pass deflected, but a foul. And Zana will be called for it. We'll take a look at Pittsburgh's record in this New York City area, which you talked about the success earlier, Doris.
Yeah, and they have now added back to their staff for his second stint, Barry Morrison, who is the guy with a lot of New York City connections.
He was a tremendous recruiter for Pittsburgh. And then
Levance Fields, Carl Krauser, Chris Tate. Barry brought in some guys.
Man, they call Slice.
Slice. And not, you know, his roots are right here. He's telling me which pizza joint to go to, what restaurant. They went to Peter Luger last night, Peter Luger Steakhouse.
He looks the part, too.
He totally does.
Here's Johnson on the entry to Zana. Flicking off the arm of Foster. Yeah, Foster's going to get called for that. You can't armbar like that. It was almost as if Zana was trying to call attention to it. Like, hey, guys, do you see what he's doing here? Let me flick it off so you can really see.
Well, he got called for the hook earlier, so he doesn't want to repeat that thing.
They're replacing Aaron Ross and Alex Foster.
Alex Foster, Aaron Ross check out for Texas Tech. Here's Newkirk. Around the perimeter, back to Deron Johnson. 6 minutes remaining in this second half. Newkirk the pull-up and the touch.
How about that? Just comes off the screen, surveys the floor.
Quick move to the baseline, and Newkirk home right there. Here's Crockett with the hook using high glass, and Jay Crockett has been a very nice bright spot for Texas Tech, especially in this second half.
Newkirk gives you a different feel at the backup point guard for Pittsburgh. A bit more speed. He likes this play right here. Yes, sir.
Oh, the Euro step, and then the denial from Crockett. Hanging right with Newkirk. Jay Crockett, 19 points on the evening. Here's Jones cutting through, finds an open Artis. High rebound, knocked away and grabbed by Turner.
Great effort by Crockett. You know, you're down 20, and this guy is just playing so hard. Good challenge.
The duck in by Turner. He follows it up, though. In deep, Tolbert couldn't quite finish. He's only about 3 feet away from the rim when he got the touch, but...
It's a guy who came in shooting 67%.
Yeah, tremendous. Good movement to Jones on a three. It's good. Great unselfish work in the half court there, and Pittsburgh now 9 of 22 from 3, and they have their largest lead of the night. It's 28. A three from Gocher, in and out. And the strong side rebound, Newkirk. Artis off and running. Tried to leave it between his legs. Zana cleaning it up, no. And Tolbert claws the board. Here's Gocher. The acceleration and the flip in.
Tough looking move.
Coming on 4 minutes left in this second half. Pittsburgh has been firmly in control from jump. They have led the entire game and built a big lead quickly in the opening half. Panthers content to let that clock wind a little bit.
I know.
Here's Newkirk on the entry. The hard feed underneath, and Zana just couldn't quite handle it. Good idea, a little bit too much on it. 3:31 left in the second half. The Panthers, a big lead on Texas Tech. Well, the second semifinal matchup of the Progressive Legends Classic is coming up following this one. It'll be Stanford and Houston. Both teams off to good starts. Stanford 4-1, Houston 5-0. That is coming up next from Barclays Center. And then tomorrow, the championship at 9:30 Eastern on ESPNU. Third place game will be at 7 Eastern on ESPN3. The Pittsburgh Panthers, barring a basketball miracle that no one has ever seen, will be advancing to that championship to face Houston or Stanford.
Johnny Dawkins and Stanford were in here late last night. They were, Johnny, we were asking, was he aware of how close the Vermont-Duke game was? He said no. How about the way that thing ended?
Incredible. Shot clock winding down there, and Teron Johnson, he doesn't mind firing from 44 feet.
Yeah.
He just likes to get his feet set a little bit more than they were there.
4 double-digit scores for Houston.
Now that should be a good one. Houston off to a 5-0 start. Talk about Stanford getting in here in gym late last night. Stanford is coming back to New York in a few weeks. They'll be playing here against Michigan in late December. As Randall corrals the rebound. Randall bodying in and gets fouled by Crockett. He'll go to the line.
Texas Tech fouls on number 30.
Hey, get close to all the action wherever you are with the new SportsCenter app. Blazing fast scores, the hottest news, highlights, analysis, and access to your favorite SportsCenter talent 24/7 via Twitter. Starting today, you can download the new SportsCenter app by calling *SC from your phone.
I'm sure employers are loving the SportsCenter app. Can you imagine during NCAA tournament time? 18 hours worth of live SportsCenter in a day, or whatever we have now.
As long as Disney employers are happy with it, then we are, right? That's the case.
Right.
Crockett checks out. Crockett, tremendous in the second half. 19 points on the night, 9 of 11 shooting, 15 in the second half.
First year as a starter. I mean, he's been the six-man role for the last 2 years, and he said it was a little bit disconcerting to move to the 3, Crockett, on the defensive end, that it's a totally different challenge defensively.
Here's Onwuasor. Peering into the defense. Gives it up to Williams. A 3 is good for the Brooklyn native, and his 100 family and friends are going to like that look. Two minutes left. Newkirk from 11 feet away, a little bit short. Good offensive board from Randall. How about a second try? No. Maybe a third? Nah, it'll be Foster on the rebound, and now Texas Tech off and running. Gocher muscling in, doesn't get the roll, but will go to the line to shoot a pair. Doris, what do you think about the value of early season tournaments?
Well, I like it. I think, one, you know, and this is something we were talking about last week at Duke. If you're a head coach, depending on how it's set, it gives you an opportunity to have that tournament format. So, you know, in your postseason tournament, you're going to have to play sometimes 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 days in a row.
Right.
So going back-to-back, I think, has real value. Sort of substitutions, managing minutes, who works well with whom. So I do think there's value, and I think a lot of it has to do with quality of competition. Right? I mean, how good are the teams you're facing, and how much do they represent some of the challenges you might face in conference play as well?
That was something Jamie Dixon highlighted before the game, saying he loves the matchups that you get in these situations.
Plus, I'm a believer in travel for kids. I mean, you know, Texas Tech gets to come and spend a couple of days. Had they gotten in Friday, it would have been even better. Give them an extra day in New York City. But this is a great city at this time of year.
Oh, yes. Jones on a 3, connects. Chris Jones done a nice job off the bench in this second half, has 8 points for Pittsburgh. Always a great buzz and energy in the city around the holidays. Tip doesn't go from Levert. Here's Onwuasor. Vicious crossover. Williams Jr. will fire. No, and then the rebound from Randall went flying in. Out of 10-second differential, game and shot clock. Texas Tech will suffer their second loss of the season. Pittsburgh, meanwhile, will improve to 5-0. And tonight, Doris, really from beginning, the suffocating defense, getting out in transition, the shooting there as well for Pittsburgh. Impressive performance for Jamie Dixon's team and their toughest test thus far this season.
Yeah, and they had that one brief moment coming out of the half, and Jamie used a quick timeout, got their focus right back where they needed it to be.
Onwuasor with the jab step, cruising through and lofts it in.
Better half for Texas Tech. I mean, again, you evaluate this a little bit differently if you're Tubby Smith. Second half, 50% from the floor, only 5 turnovers. So much better job not hurting themselves.
But a big hole was created thanks to an excellent first half from Pittsburgh. And they hold on. A 76-53 win. Career high for Lamar Patterson. 23 points to lead the Panthers. And Pittsburgh will advance to the Progressive Legends Classic Championship game tomorrow night. 9:30 Eastern, the championship will be on ESPNU. Final score, Pittsburgh 76, Texas Tech 53. Coming up next, our coverage from the Progressive Legends Classic in Brooklyn continues with our second semifinal as Stanford faces Houston. We'll see you at the top of the hour. For Doris Burke, I'm Ryan Rucco. Let's head back to our college basketball studio and join the coach, Jonathan Coachman.